For most of human history, staying healthy wasn't a choice, it was a byproduct of survival. When families worked the land, growing and foraging for their own fresh food, the intense manual labor naturally forged strong, resilient bodies. But as hard times push families to leave their rural villages, they enter a completely different urban ecosystem. The grueling physical demands of farming are quickly replaced by sedentary labor, driving a taxi for hours on end, or sitting at a factory assembly line. The food changes just as fast. The slow process of harvesting and cooking fresh meals gives way to the cheap convenience of the city: fast food, sugary drinks, and packaged sweets. These new habits accumulate over months and years, eventually manifesting as a slow outward expansion. Families begin to notice the growth of a prominent belly. For a family that recently struggled to find enough to eat, this weight gain is often celebrated as a status symbol, a sign that they finally have the means to eat well. But that illusion of prosperity fractures when mysterious physical symptoms start appearing. It begins with extreme, unquenchable thirst and frequent urination. Then comes blurred vision and a deep, chronic exhaustion that sleep simply won't fix. A family might ignore these signs right up until the consequences become impossible to miss. When a relative suddenly loses a leg to amputation, or a local clinic poster displays the exact same warning signs, the fear finally pushes them to seek a medical test. That test reveals a hard truth. The ultimate symbol of their newfound urban prosperity, that prominent belly, was actually a masquerading symptom of severe metabolic decay. The blood test delivers a clear clinical diagnosis: a severe case of diabetes. To understand how this happens, look at fat storage. Subcutaneous fat is the soft layer under the skin. Visceral fat is deeply packed around internal organs. Sedentary lifestyles and processed foods cause it to rapidly accumulate, physically compressing and suffocating the liver and pancreas. The trap of the urban diet is that it relies heavily on hidden sugars. You don't have to gorge on candy to get sick. Everyday processed starches, like large portions of white rice, potatoes, and bread, are the real culprits. Inside the body, there is a rapid metabolic conversion process. The digestive system breaks down these seemingly safe starchy foods and unleashes a massive influx of pure sugar directly into the bloodstream. The danger of the modern diet lies right there. It is these hidden sugars within everyday staples that silently choke your internal organs with toxic visceral fat. Left untreated, this creates a dangerous, chronic buildup. The excess sugar particles become permanently trapped within the bloodstream. At a microscopic level, concentrated sugar acts like shards of glass, scarring blood vessels and delicate nerves. This widespread damage causes heart attacks, strokes, kidney disease, and permanent blindness. The nervous system also suffers, causing early-onset dementia and dangerous numbness spreading through the extremities. That numbness sets off a grim domino effect. When you lose feeling in your feet, you don't notice minor scrapes or injuries. Those unnoticed wounds quickly fester into severe infections that ultimately require amputation. It also leads to other deep nerve death issues, including impotence. Diabetes represents a total systemic deterioration of the body's entire vascular and neurological infrastructure. Because this massive biological failure was triggered by a lifestyle shift, a deliberate lifestyle reversal can halt and even repair much of the damage. The most strategic solution often comes from the generation that lived before this modern crisis. By consulting their grandparents, families can reclaim the pre-industrial, traditional dietary principles of their past. This requires specific dietary substitutions. Fast food and heavily processed starches are eliminated. Instead, they are replaced by market-fresh vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins like beans, eggs, and fish. The behavior around eating has to change too. Returning to home cooking is the only sure way to strictly control what ingredients are used, allowing families to manage their starch portion sizes. Nutrition alone isn't enough. Physical activity is the necessary counterweight. Implementing a daily morning walk counteracts the daily reality of sitting at an urban job. With these habits in place, the physiological outcomes begin to emerge over a single year. The visceral fat belly recedes, blood sugar levels stabilize toward a healthier range, and much of the family's previous energy begins to return. Surviving the modern world doesn't require fleeing the city, but it does demand adopting the principles of our past. Eat real food, cook it yourself, and remain relentlessly active.